A very good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to Mastering the Forbidden, a deep dive into what is perhaps the most insidious category of web vulnerabilities access control flows. I am Asim Kumar Pradhan, a security engineer at Traces Technologies Private Limited. So, if you've ever seen a 403 forbidden error, let me tell you something about it. It's the gatekeeper, a digital bouncer, telling a user it can't come in. But what happens when that bouncer is asleep in the job? That's what we call a 403 bypass. So over the next 4 to 5 minutes, we'll analyze these flows happen, why these flows happen, look at real world cases studies, and equip you with the best defensive strategies to prevent them in your systems. This training, by the way, is strictly for educational purposes. So before we start the PPT, let me introduce my organization. So, so Thresis Technologies is an established cybersecurity consulting partner. We're a certain associated and ISO 27001 certified company specializing in securing the IT infrastructure and assets of leading enterprises globally. For over 12 years, we have served clients in high-stakes sectors like banking, fintech, health, manufacturing, and oil and gas. Our approach is that what we call 360 degree. We combine advanced services that discover points of danger using the latest hacking trends with crucial compliance audit and certification services covering standards like ISO 27001, PCI DSS, SOC 2, HIPAA, GDPR, and we are dedicated to providing a high value solution that gives you complete data visibility from the machine, network, and cloud. So let's start my PPT.
So for the next 45 minutes, I'm going to speak on these topics. Start with rebrushing with HTTP status code, what a 403 forbidden error is, why this 403 forbidden matters, and the difference between 401 and 403. Next, we will dive into live demo where I will showcase how a backup file can be accessed using say case sensitive. A forbidden backup file can be accessed using URL encoding, and by changing an HTTP header, how we can access a forbidden file, and how a directory permission mismatch can impact on accessing the forbidden file. Then we will look up with a case study of I have taken three of it, like US Department of Defense, MacKeeper, and CrowdStrike, and wrap up with how to mitigate this 403 forbidden and what are the tools that we can use for 403 bypass. So introduction. What are HTTP status code represent? As you all might know, these are the fundamental status code. Every request, every response contains HTTP status code that represent different things. Like the one which starting with one are informational, the two are success, the one starting with three are redirects, the one starting with four is a client error, and the 403 which we are talking today is under this category. The one starting with fives are server side errors. So what is a 403 forbidden error? So a 403 forbidden error is a fundamental HTTP status code where the server identifies the client, uh, knows understood their request, but refusing to grant access to the requested resource or functionalities. As you can see in the figure, there is a forbidden area where the soldiers are standing, and the intruder is being forbidden from entering there. So in simple terms, the server is saying, I know who you are, but you are not permitted to access this. So why this 403 forbidden matters? So the 403 forbidden can lead to many risks, starting with broken access control, where one can easily access the content without the authorization, which he or she might be forbidden. The second risk is IDOR, where an horizontal privilege escalation can be done, where by changing any ID or any parameter, you can directly access the content. Or by doing it, I will show you a lab where the directory permission error leads to IDOR. Third risk is for privilege escalation, vertical privilege escalation, where a low privileged user can access a high administrative control over the application. So to clear out the differences between 401 and 403, which looks similar, but it is not a similar type of error, where 401 leads to authentication error, where you are accessing the system without being logged in or being recognized with your user name or password. 403 is authorization error, where you have successfully logged in, but you are forbidden from accessing the restricted files of the application. Where 401 error is unauthorized error and 403 is forbidden error. To clear out the differences, we will show on a lab. So now let's go on with the lab. I will be using curl to access the lab, where this is a self-made lab where the 403 is intentionally made to showcase you how a 403 bypass works. So I'm using curl with -i, where -i I am using to get the response properly with the HTTP status code. Then I'm running it on my local server, and I'm using the loopback address. And let's try to access admin.php page, which many web servers contain. You can see I am getting 401 unauthorized error. As I said you previously, 401 we get when we are not logged in with any of the user, and the server directly tells us that you are unauthorized to access this. So to deal with this, we will log in with a guest user. And I want to save the cookie. So I'm using -c and a cookie file, which I will be using throughout the lab to show you the 403 format, or else I will get the 401 unauthorized. So here I have successfully logged in with the user. Now let's use this cookie to access admin file. So for using the cookie, I will use -b. You can see now I'm getting a 403 forbidden, as I said you previously, that if I am logged in with a single user and trying to access a forbidden place, I will be getting a 403 forbidden error instead of 401 unauthorized error. So the first thing I will show you is the backup file using case sensitive. Like while you are getting a 403 forbidden, you can always check whether it contains some backup files on the server or not. To check this, we will directly look for any admin.php backup file. And you can see I'm getting 403 forbidden, means it have the backup file present on the server. So the backup files are easily 403 bypass because these are not much it does not have any restricted permissions over the backup file. Usually it is recommended to delete the backup files from the server and keep it in another server or any safe place. But if you are leaving your backup file on directly on the server where you are hosting the admin php or index, then it is much easier for 403 bypass. So the first thing I will show you is how the backup file can be accessed using case sensitive. Like here is the command where I'm using the curl and hyphen I to get the request HTTP headers on the response. Then hyphen B I'm using to use a cookie that is a cookie stored for a logged in user. Then I'm using a loopback address that is 127.0.0.1 with admin.php. I'm using this php in capital to bypass the case sensitive thing and be able to bypass the 403 forbidden thing. So let's capitalize php to show you let's is it working or not. So you can see I'm getting a 200 okay, means I have successfully accessed the admin.php backup file only by capitalizing the php and bypassing the access control rule of case sensitive thing. The second thing I'm going to show you is using URL encoding, how I can bypass the same thing. Where symbols are being represented using URL encoding, where the dot represent percentage to E. So if I'm using normal percentage to E instead of dot, and you can see I'm again getting 200 success, which means I am accessing the file which is being forbidden by only changing the dot into a URL encoded percentage 2e, which server understand but is not properly ACL is implemented access control. So it is being bypassed by only changing the percentage 2e instead of dot. The third thing I'm going to show you is how an HTTP header manipulation leads to 403 bypass. So let's access a directory sensitive.php. So it is 403 forbidden. So in the previous case, I told you to use percentage 2 instead of dot. Let's check whether that is working or not. No, it is not working. Means the control mechanism is properly implemented here. So I will be using hyphen x and post method. Instead of get method, let's go with a post method and check whether it is bypassing the 403 or not. Yes, it is bypassing now as I'm getting a 200 response, which is success, and I am able to access the sensitive.php thing. Means here when I have used post method instead of get method, it also leads to a 403 forbidden. Means the security mechanism is not properly implemented, where it verifies the request whether I'm sending a get request or a post request. So the fourth thing I will be going to show you is a directory permission mismatch. where there is a difference between file permissions and directory permissions over the web server permission and file system permissions. So the web server permissions contains two permissions, that is read and execute, where the file systems contain three permissions, read, write, and execute. So if a developer does not give the permission perfectly, then it might lead to a error or exposing the secret file inside and direct. Like I will show you, there is an upload directory on my web server. When I'm trying to access the upload thing, I'm getting the forbidden error, where the security mechanism is properly implemented. But an executive permission is given to this folder. For that reason, I'm going to access the inside thing. Yeah, you can see the secret.txt inside the upload folder is being accessed, but the upload folder is forbidden. So by directory busting or using Ferox Buster, you can get inside a directory and look up for any files present over there or not. So by that thing, you can get access to bypass the 403 forbidden if the developer does not give the web server permissions correctly. Like if we have given the directory only a read permission and not the executive permission, I will be getting a 403 forbidden even I try to access the files inside the directory. So here it is being bypassed because the developer has not given the permissions correctly. So these are the three case studies which I have taken to make you understand that these all companies have been organization or companies have been facing uh, sorry for the interruption. The companies or organization faced impact or business loss due to this 403 bypass, where a US Department of Defense, where the restricted pages are being bypassed, which are forbidden for normal public. By exposing this restricted content, the US Department of Defense faced a great loss and affected routes to consistent enforced denies. Then the MacKeeper company, where the front end is being bypassed using the routing headers, where where some in some scenarios the admin.php or any sensitive files are only allowed when you have a local or any specified insider IP, where the X original URL is being provided with the internal IP, and if the server does not validate the request or client side validation is not done properly or server side validation is not done, then you can access those restricted files even staying outside or having an external IP. So the Mac keeper also face the same issue and have stripped and mitigated by stripping the untrusted headers at the edge and enforcing app level authorization uniformly. Then third company is CloudStream, where the 403 differential behavior indicated access control flaw, leading to information disclosure classification. Here also the same information is being disclosed by bypassing the 403 forbidden thing. So they have mitigated it by limiting data exposure, then by adding negative tests to prevent 403, and also they have fixed their load balancer according to it. So these are the causes of 403 403 bypass, where 40% of the thing is because of inconsistent authorization logic, where the application authorization are not being checked properly. Like I have shown you how a post request can access the file, but a get request is not is forbidden. So by changing the HTTP header, we can access the thing, which is inconsistent authorization logic. It should be given properly so that only a verified get request should be accessing it. Post request should be dropped. Then To moving toward the next 30%, where request normalization discrepancy, where different component interpret URL differently and bypassing via encoding. As I have shown you the URL encoding thing, where the dot has been changed to percentage 2e and it is being bypassed. So the server does not understand it properly, or is being given 200 success by exposing the file. This should be properly implemented by the developer to restrict using an encoding thing, which the server may confuse. Then 20% are for over reliance on client side controls, where authorization decisions are based on data that are being easily manipulated by the user browser. I have shown you a scenario where X original URL is being changed to an internal IP or a loopback IP and can access the thing. 10% are due to misconfigured security infrastructure, where proxies and load balancers are poorly configured. Then these are some mitigations for 403 bypasses, where the authorization trying to access an admin page with a standard user cookie. A standard user cookie should be used to authorize to access the admin page inside the web server, and a limited resource access should be provided to corporate network or geographical location. Security measures should be taken, like blocking IPs that exceed the request threshold, like preventing from DDoS or anything. The same thing which we do by directory busting. Directory busting also sends multiple requests to access to know whether the file is present or not by looking up the response HTTP response. So by blocking the IP that exceed the request threshold, we can stop the directory busting thing. Web application firewall best practices, like only trust the X forwarded for thing, and trusted proxies, trusted load balancers, or known load balancers should only be trusted. Implementing detailed login and monitoring it to detect the repetitive probing attempts. And fourth is deny by default, where by default all the endpoints, API endpoints and functions should be forbidden unless some IPs or some identities should be whitelisted, or roles should be whitelisted to access those. So these are some tools which we can use for 403 bypass, such as the Burpsuit extension, 403 bypass extension, where you will find many payloads. The one which I am using, like percentage 2e or something, like there are much payloads which we can use to bypass 403. So the bypass extension contains those payload which can be automated. Then Wolf security bulk 403 bypass. So this is also a tool which we can use for 403 bypass. And Ferox Buster is the directory busting thing, which I have shown you. Like when I am accessing the upload directory, I'm getting forbidden error. But when I am accessing the secret file under upload folder, I can easily access that. So Ferox Buster will find the directories and also the files inside the directory thing. So Ferox Buster is a powerful tool for directory busting. So thank you for being with me in learning 403 bypass. I hope you all understand how a 40 what is 403 error and how to bypass it using some encoding or case sensitive or header manipulation. So I hope you understand what the labs contain and all. And thank you. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. So thank you again. So if you have any queries, you can reach out to our support team by via this email or phone number. And to get we are very much active in our social media handles. You can check out those blogs where we have given such inspiring things. Any query, you can reach out to our support team. Our team will get back to you. So there is a good news. Like, be connected with us. We are taking a part 2 where we will advance the 403 bypass, where an advanced payloads, advanced methods will be shown for 403 forbidden bypasses. This will be added to a playlist, and the playlist will continue with part 2 of the advancing things. Thank you.